Welcome to today's Explainer. We're digging into a truly fascinating piece of research that challenges a really stubborn assumption in the business world. You know the one, the idea that more money automatically equals more motivation. We've all heard it, and honestly, we've probably all believed it at some point. But today, we're diving into the data together to see exactly why that equation is fundamentally broken and to discover what absolutely drives human performance.
I want you to picture a scenario that's probably pretty familiar. Imagine you're managing a team member at, let's just call it XYZ Corporation. They've been doing a pretty decent job, and you really want to light a fire under them. So what do? You give them a pay raise. And initially, it feels fantastic. There's this huge burst of energy, smiles all around, and they seem incredibly engaged. But fast forward 6 months down the line. Did that raise actually make them work harder? Usually the answer is no. So what's really going on there?
Well, here is our roadmap for today's Explainer to figure that out. We're going to start by busting the motivation myth, explain what hygiene factors are, and reveal the true workplace motivators. Then, we'll see it all in action at Trader Joe's, explore some crucial cultural nuances, and wrap up with a practical managerial diagnostic tool you can use right away.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the motivation myth.
There's a quote that just hits the nail on the head here. A raise feels amazing for a little while, but then it just becomes the new normal. And guys, this is the real danger of relying entirely on external validation. Let's go back to our XYZ Corporation example. That salary bump absolutely works to stop someone from quitting. It for sure keeps them in the building. But human psychology is incredibly adaptable. Literally within a few months, that higher paycheck isn't seen as a bonus anymore. It just becomes their expected baseline. It becomes a right rather than an ongoing motivator to push them toward above-average performance.
Which brings us nicely to Section 2, Hygiene Factors Explained.
To understand exactly why that salary bump isn't a long-term fix, we have to talk about psychologist Frederick Herzberg. He made this revolutionary discovery. The elements of a job that prevent dissatisfaction are actually completely separate from the elements that create excellence. It's a binary split. Eliminating dissatisfaction and creating motivation are literally two totally different managerial jobs. So Herzberg labeled the factors that cause dissatisfaction as hygiene factors. Think of them like actual physical hygiene or health. If your work environment is toxic or unsafe, you are going to be miserable. But, and here's the kicker, if you fix those problems, if you clean up the environment, you aren't suddenly overjoyed and ready to conquer the world. You are simply brought back to a neutral baseline. Hygiene factors are just the bare minimum.
Let's look at some common hygiene factors so you can see what I mean. Salary is obviously a massive one, along with company policy, working conditions, supervision, and job security. Just think about it. If your office is freezing cold in the winter or your company's leave policy is totally unfair, you're unhappy, right? But if management finally fixes the thermostat or offers a fair baseline salary, that really just stops the complaints. You expect a comfortable office. You expect a fair wage. Getting those things doesn't magically make you want to stay late and innovate.
So if that doesn't work, what does? Section 3, True Workplace Motivators.
On the other side of Herzberg's model, we have the true motivators. These are the things that fulfill our deep psychological needs and actually encourage us to try harder. Notice the shift here. These are not about the context of the work, like the office temperature, but about the intrinsic content of the work itself.
Now we're getting into the high-performance zone. These are the real psychological rewards. We're talking about hitting a massive goal, getting recognized publicly for your specific, unique contribution, or simply doing work that is intellectually stimulating. It's about being trusted with autonomy and increased responsibility. These are the factors that build deep job satisfaction, serious emotional commitment, and a culture where people proactively solve problems. This is where true engagement lives.
Now let's ground this theory in the real world. Section 4, Trader Joe's in action.
You have probably been to a Trader Joe's. You know the vibe. People in Hawaiian shirts, super upbeat energy, incredibly helpful staff who actually seem like they want to be there. Well, Trader Joe's doesn't just sell groceries. They've basically engineered an environment of high motivation. They achieve twice the sales of traditional supermarkets, and their staff is a massive part of that success.
So how exactly do they do it? First, they completely secure the hygiene factors. They pay well above the market average. Full-time employees can make around $40,000 in their first year, plus they get great retirement contributions. But remember, pay just gets people in the door. They create true motivation through their culture. Managers jump in to pick up the slack and will literally sweep the floors alongside the team, which builds this amazing collaborative environment. They give their staff incredible autonomy too. An employee can rip open a product right there in the aisle just to let a customer taste it. And crucially, they satisfy the need for growth by promoting solely from within. It's a perfect balance of extrinsic hygiene and powerful intrinsic motivators.
But wait, we have to zoom out for a second. Section 5, Cultural Nuances and Context.
There is a vital catch to Herzberg's framework that you need to be aware of. Existing research shows us that motivation theories are deeply, deeply culture-bound. What a team views as fair, unfair, motivating, or demotivating is heavily tied to their specific cultural definitions.
Because this theory is culture-bound, the specific factors that dominate and drive motivation are going to vary significantly depending on where you are. For instance, the research shows that the dominant motivational drivers in Japan might look very, very different from those in Greece or New Zealand. Think about a reward system that heavily emphasizes individual public recognition. In one culture, that's a massive intrinsic motivator, but in another culture, one that highly values group harmony over individual spotlight, that same exact reward could cause deep discomfort. So context is absolutely everything.
Let's bring this all home. Section 6, your managerial diagnostic tool. I want to urge you to start using Herzberg's theory as a daily diagnostic tool. As a leader, you need to constantly be checking your own actions. Are you just putting out fires on the left side of the board? Adjusting policies, fixing broken equipment, tweaking salaries? Because if you are, you're only fixing dissatisfaction. You're just surviving. To truly thrive, you have to consciously carve out time for the right side of the board, creating real motivation through job enrichment, giving autonomy, and providing meaningful work.
And if you're looking for a great place to start right now, address the recognition gap. Our sources point out that top performers often put in massive amounts of discretionary effort, like mentoring their peers or quietly optimizing processes, that goes completely unseen by management. When that extra effort isn't recognized, equity theory kicks in, and they start feeling like the system is rigged or unfair. Finding and fixing this recognition gap, making sure your absolute best people are genuinely seen and appreciated, is the fastest way to shift from merely retaining your staff to truly inspiring them.
Which brings us to the end of today's explainer. I want to leave you with a direct challenge. Take a hard look at your own workplace strategies. Look at your team, look at how you reward people, and ask yourself this final, provocative question. Are you merely putting out fires and fixing dissatisfaction, or are you actually creating true motivation? Something to think about. Thanks so much for exploring this with me today, and I'll catch you next time.